Today we're going to talk about a creature as strange as it is fascinating. Many have heard its name, few have seen it, and almost no one knows its full story. Get ready to discover everything about the Hinny, a hybrid that seems to come from an impossible cross. The Hinny, also known in Spanish as machorromo or burreño, is an animal that many find enigmatic. And although it isn't as well known as the horse or the donkey, this hybrid is the result of a combination as precise as it is intriguing. A cross between a stallion and a female donkey. It should not be confused with the mule, which is born from the reverse cross. A male donkey and a mare. The difference may seem subtle, but its physical, behavioral, and genetic effects are so deep that they make the Hinny a truly unique creature. Reproductively, the Jenny carries her young for about 330 to 340 days, a period similar to that of horses. When the big moment arrives, the Hinny is usually born at dawn or dusk, times when the herd stays calmer. In less than 2 hours, it can stand up and start searching for its mother's teat, a vital behavior to flee from predators and to ensure the intake of colostrum, rich in essential antibodies. At birth, it measures about 60 centimeters at the shoulder, a size generally smaller than that of a horse foal or an average mule. In the first days, its precocial instinct allows it to trot with the group just a few hours after delivery. Right after birth, the Hinny starts exploring with its muzzle. It tests the grass and hay by imitating its mother. But it's from around 10 to 14 days when, almost without noticing, it begins to nibble real grass, trying small handfuls to exercise its jaws and get familiar with the flavors of the field. Although those first bites are more an exploration game than a true source of nutrition, since it will continue depending on its mother's milk until 8 to 10 weeks, they mark the start of its transition to a solid diet. Little by little, week by week, that precocious instinct turns into habit, preparing the future adult to graze with the rest of the herd. By 2 months, milk no longer meets all its energy needs, so a balanced feed designed for foals is introduced, taking care to avoid excess nutrients that could trigger bone problems. At first glance, the Hinny may look like a small horse or a mule with slightly unbalanced proportions. Its body is more compact, its head finer and more elongated than that of the mule, with somewhat shorter ears and a slimmer neck. Generally, it has more slender legs and an appearance that is more elegant and less robust than that of the mule. Its size is usually smaller than that of a horse, and in many cases, also smaller than that of an average mule. In addition, its coat can display a surprising variety of colors, from dapple gray and chestnut to pinto, inheriting patterns from the horse but with a rougher texture, typical of the donkey. Its tail and mane are usually longer than those of the donkey, and thicker as well, which gives it a striking, distinctive appearance. The Hinny, the offspring of a stallion and a female donkey, inherits from the latter a strong tendency toward caution and self-preservation. Although its morphology blends traits from both parents, it's the behavioral responses that truly set it apart. Several studies in equine ethology point out that both Hinnies and mules show a powerful self-protective instinct, often expressed as a more reserved attitude when faced with new or potentially dangerous stimuli. Unlike what commonly happens with some horses, the Hinny tends to respond more selectively to the rider's cues. It's not that it consciously evaluates every command. Rather, When faced with the uncertainty of an unfamiliar task, it tends to stop, observe, and seek information from the environment or from its rider before proceeding. Nevertheless, these characteristics are not exclusive to Hinnies. They're also observed in mules, and to a lesser extent, in donkeys and horses. Their final temperament will depend largely on individual factors and on handling. Early socialization, consistent training, and a strong bond with the handler. In this way, a well-trained Hinny can be just as cooperative as any of its equine relatives. Some experts attribute this to its predominant equine inheritance, while others point out that, being an uncommon hybrid, it hasn't been selectively bred for specific tasks, like the mule. This singular personality makes it harder to train, but also smarter at solving problems. From a genetic standpoint, the Hinny represents a biological rarity. Like the mule, it is sterile in most cases. This is because it has an odd number of chromosomes. 63, the result of the horse's 64, and the donkey's 62. This chromosomal incompatibility prevents it from reproducing. Another interesting trait is its digestive system and microbiome. As in other mammals, gut flora is transmitted mainly from mother to offspring during birth and lactation. Therefore, the Hinny reflects the microbiota of its mother, the jenny. Although there are no studies proving gastrointestinal resilience superior to that of the horse or the donkey. Surprisingly, male Hinnies produce testosterone and can exhibit sexual behaviors, which is why castration is often used to make handling easier. This normal testicular development, despite infertility, makes them valuable study subjects for understanding hormonal regulation in equine hybrids. The Hinny's intelligence is another fascinating aspect. It shows learning ability and flexible reasoning, born from the donkey's cautious instinct and the horse's sociability. However, its willingness to learn depends largely on the trust it establishes with its handler and on early socialization. Historically, in ancient Egypt, New Kingdom paintings show beasts pulling chariots, but they never specify whether they were mules or Hinnies. The truth is that no chronicle describes the systematic breeding of these animals. We move on to Greece and Rome, where the army and the mines relied on the endurance of mules. Easier to obtain and more fertile, mules became indispensable companions. By contrast, Hinnies show up only as mentions of a biological rarity, one failed experiment after another, due to their low gestation rate. In 19th century Spain, something very similar happened. During farm work and vineyard cultivation, there's no documentation that mentions Hinnies. Instead, Pyrenean mules and other local breeds remained the majority choice until the great phylloxera crisis of the late 19th century. Today we know that, although the Hinny has existed for millennia, it never had the prominence or reach of the mule. Its status as a biological rarity condemned it to remain on the sidelines of the agricultural and military history of the great civilizations. And so, what could have been a third player in the Wheel of Progress remained little more than a footnote in the history books. However, despite its quiet historical presence, the Hinny deserves all our awe. Its very existence is a true biological marvel. Born from an unlikely meeting between a horse and a jenny, it gifts us an animal of unusual strength and singular beauty. Every individual embodies the magic of the unexpected, reminding us that nature always keeps surprises where we least expect them. If this rarity has fascinated you as much as it has us, don't miss more incredible stories. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to get every new video. And of course, we want to hear your opinion. Leave us a comment telling us what surprised you most about the Hinny, or which other animal hybrid you'd like to discover. We'll be reading your comments.